Hello, welcome to Star of the World. We're going to meet Bill Hayden, a very important person. Bill Hayden is widely considered to be the best man never to have become Prime Minister of Australia. His story is that of an archetypal Aussie battler, born at the height of the Great Depression and growing up in a humble working class family in Brisbane, Queensland, to a loving Catholic mother and a father who was bitterly opposed to religion and was violent in the family. Having an atheist father had a strong and lasting influence on young Bill. He grew up, joined the Navy, and then became a policeman, studied economics in his spare time, and became active in the Labor Party. As a young man, Hayden's antipathy towards church and faith was tested when he and his wife lost their eldest daughter, Michaela, when she was just 5. She was knocked down by a car as she ran across a road coming from Sunday school. Despite the help of a kind priest, Mr. Hayden said he could not find solace in prayer. It was soon after a Labor victory in 1972, with party titan Gough Whitlam as Prime Minister, that Bill's political career took off. He was made Minister for Social Security and made his mark with socially progressive policies that have helped shape Australia today. The country's first single mother's pension and Australia's first universal health insurance system, Medibank, now known as Medicare. He didn't mind a fight if he knew it was right, and that brought him into the company of Sister Angela Mary Doyle, a founder of the Mater Hospital in Brisbane, who introduced Bill to the importance of health care, even for the poorest. In 1975, he was made Treasurer, but served for only 5 months before the government was dismissed in Australia's most spectacular moment of constitutional crisis. In opposition, Hayden challenged for his party's leadership. On the second attempt, he won, slowly rebuilding the Labor Party and leading it back into contention. By 1983, after 6 years in opposition and on the eve of an election, Bill Hayden was replaced by the charismatic Bob Hawke, who waltzed into power on a wave of popularity. Labor's 1983 election victory was a great party win, but a bitter personal blow to Bill Hayden, who stood aside for another man to become Prime Minister. With his dignity intact, he became Minister for Foreign Affairs and Trade. He was a loyal party man, a servant of his people at home and overseas. In 1987, Bill Hayden quit Parliament and Bob Hawke recommended him to the post of Governor-General, the Queen's representative in Australia. When he was sworn in, and in keeping with his staunch atheist views, he made an affirmation rather than swearing an oath on the Bible. Among many duties, the Governor-General is normally Chief Scout of Australia. This posed a problem for Hayden, and he declined the office on the grounds of his atheism, which was incompatible with the Scout promise. Instead, he served as the national patron of the Scout Association. Bill Hayden, welcome to Shalom TV and thank you very much for talking to me today.
Thank you.
Yeah. John Howard, former Prime Minister, said appointing you as Governor-General, that's a bit like appointing an atheist as Archbishop of Canterbury. What do you think about that comment?
Well, I don't think the Governor-General is going to be anything like the Archbishop of Canterbury.
I know there are many layers to how you believed or, for your atheist beliefs. But I understand that you saw a film about the Vatican showing lots of gold, lots of statues made of gold and all the wealth. And that was pretty abhorrent to you because of the poverty and suffering around. Can you explain your thoughts? Where's this all coming from?
Well, I went to the Regent Theatre and there was this supporting film on about the Vatican, magnificent works of art, these cherubim and small figures. They were gold. I made the mistake of thinking they were gold. They were undoubtedly plaster moulds with gold paint. And I thought, oh, they should take those down, melt them, and give the money to the poor. I was just a rather ordinary dumb copper in those days. Had no intellectual background, which embarrasses me.
Well, you clearly didn't become an atheist by chance. So how did this come about?
A number of factors. My father was a very determined atheist. And he's always sneering at religion. The opium of the masses was there to manipulate the masses. He was quite radical as an old anarcho-syndicalist. And when I went to school, I remember one day, being a Catholic, there's no Catholic Bible instruction. There was only for Protestants. So if I didn't get a Bible instruction, I had to sit in class. So I made the easy decision. I didn't want to spend more time in class than I had to. So I said, oh, I'm going to go as a Methodist. And I was making jokes about the methos, and the minister came in, he's a fat man, and did he roar at me? I thought, I don't want anything to do with you people. And he gave us a talk about Noah and the Ark. And I thought to myself, this is a tall story if ever there was one. They wouldn't know how to make big ships as big as that to take one of every creature. They wouldn't be able to cut the timber, big enough place. They wouldn't know how to make steel sheets. They didn't have the technical knowledge. I didn't believe it. But I do believe that there was a huge flood, a global event.
So there's a lot in the Bible for a young person, a child or a young man to take issue with, and it stretches the believable beyond belief. Yes. So that's the sort of standpoint you had, as so many of us do, that you know, this was unfeasible that there was such an ark, unfeasible that so many events in the Bible happen, and therefore you can dismiss the religion?
Yeah, that was part of it.
Your father, was he a violent man in the family?
Yes, unfortunately. I was exposed to and understood what family violence was about. It used to happen at home too often. I can never forgive you for backhanding my mother and laying around on the floor. When I was a copper, I used to use unconventional methods of handling men who beat up their wives, and I got bad news for men who beat up their wives.
So a childhood shaped by violence with your father, and yet counterbalanced, I understand, by your mother, who was adoring and was a Catholic.
She always had faith in me. I don't know what she did that day. My father was always sneering at me.
So did you feel that you had to buckle under to your father and his atheist beliefs?
I didn't feel that, but it was a constant influence on me.
Your antipathy for the church was tested when you and Dallas, your wife, lost your eldest daughter, Michaela, in 1966. What happened?
People wrote into me and say, God in his inscrutable way does these things. You shouldn't ask why. He does them for a good reason.
When you were still mourning, I understand you went to a priest and spoke to a young priest about about this incident.
Yes.
And it was a moment for you. It was a moment that you had to decide whether you believed or not. Another moment for you.
Yes, he went down on his knees in front of me and he prayed, and I thought, oh, I can't do this. I've been being dishonest to this man. I knew him, he's a young man, he's a wonderful young man. And he was doing a good job at Ipswich with his congregation. I don't know where he is today. I hope he's done well in church. And I thought he was wonderful. I thought he's doing that because he's a good priest. And he's just sticking up on a constituent.
Mm. Tell me about your mother and your upbringing with your mother.
She was always a safe haven. She'd always embrace and cuddle me. I wrote my autobiography. I slid down the rail of the back steps one day. I got a big prickle on my backside. She pulled it out and put some iodine on it, cleaned it up, and then gave me a kiss on the backside. It made it feel better right away. She was good. I was a copper, I was a plainclothes policeman. And she said to me one day, there's no such thing as boys who are born mad. Psychopaths, of course, are a special case. She said, the way they're going to turn out in life is determined by their experiences when they're young. Think of Aboriginal kings. Think of how determinism pushes them further and further into behaviour, which is antisocial.
Now, someone who was very instrumental in helping you to understand your faith was Sister of Mercy, Angela Mary Doyle.
Oh, yes.
Tell me about how she came into your life and the influence that she's had.
Well, she contacted me. I was battling the introduction of Medibank, as we called it, now called Medicare. And she said she'd like to talk to me, so I came down, and she had a committee that Jack Kelly was the chairman, a Brisbane solicitor. He had hooded eyes. I thought he was asleep. And then he woke up at one stage. He'd wide awake and he able to repeat everything I'd said. He'd read it all up beforehand, as she had. She said, oh, we're going to support you. Bill, she's always called me. We're going to support you. And she told me later that she was very unpopular in elements of the Catholic Church in Victoria. She was seen as breaking the common front. I know what that's like from Labor politics. Being law means conforming when people are doing the wrong thing. But that's how I got to know her. She made me in a way. It was a big breakthrough I was looking for. Coppers getting towy. I wasn't getting a breakthrough anywhere. Coppers was a bit unreasonable on those things.
It did prove to be a breakthrough for you, but for the nation of Australia too, to have a universal health cover system.
I was looking last night on the 7:30 report about people with multiple sclerosis, and I was thinking, oh, you people are lucky, we've got a universal health system now. You can take on this expensive treatment and testing. That's the way it should be. And we get the disability insurance scheme. That'll be another big plus. I wish I'd been to caucus when that came up. I would have been at it with my ears back to introduce it. We've got a very good health system in this country for accessibility. We've got health insurance. We've got pharmaceutical benefits. Now, Chifley tried to introduce that, and it was hostilely opposed by the British Medical Association, which was in the AMA, and the Conservative government in Canberra, who saw it, criticised it as the beginning of conscription of doctors. In the end, Menzies had to cut through the Gordian knot, get it going. Now, that makes a big difference for people who have expensive illnesses, which can be life-threatening. It wasn't easy for me changing my belief to Christian belief. I can remember saying to Dallas in bed at night, I don't know how I can keep doing this. They told her I thought I'd want to change because it was a big turnaround from where I'd been for so many years and what I'd believed in. I think it was somewhat the position of a scoffer and a bit of a narrow-minded outlook.
Sister Mary Angela Doyle had a big impact on you, and she also helped your stakes in the political arena. But
well, more than that, she helped for me to get a reputation which I'm proud of. And I thought I'd been in the presence of a holy woman, holy person. I felt it was something that was suffused by system. My chest felt happily congested with the feeling that I'd been lucky. I'd been with a particularly holy person. All her life she'd been like that. She told a graduation group at Griffith University, Alice and I were there one day, how she came to Australia. Her sister came, her sister had sufficient education in order to come here to be a teacher at All Hallows. She didn't. She came here and became a nurse. That's how she fulfilled her sense of commitment to the Holy Scripture as she understood it, to God and to Jesus. She had a profound influence on me. She's part of the influence that caused me to become a Catholic, a big part of it.
now you wrote to friends explaining that you'd found the message that Christianity was a religion not of rules, but of love.
Yes.
And that this came to you while after reading a book on Shia Islam by the academic Malise Ruthven.
Yes.
Can you explain how an Islamic book would give you that sort of...
Well, he said to me, he said in his book that Islam is a religion of rules and Christianity is one of love. I told you how young Costello, the physiotherapist, used to come here last week and said, I learned that at primary school. We all did. Well, I didn't. But I like the idea of being of love.
Bill, through your conversion, what sort of an inspiration, what sort of an offering is there that you can give other people who might be thinking about the same things and just need that word of advice?
Well, if you're thinking about it, which I've been doing for some time, stop thinking about it, do something about it. You'll feel better. I feel better now. In my body, I feel much better in my mind. I'm looking forward to playing a more active role in the church in Ipswich.
So I understand that you would like to put your energies into church activities. Tell me about that.
Well, the church has committees of various types for communication to the parish and to help people in the parish. I hope I can be of some assistance. I've had a bit of experience with welfare as Minister for Social Security, and I think I don't understand poor people. I don't want to start saying that was us, but we were very poor by any measure, our kids.
Mr. Hayden, if you had a message for young people who have looked at the church in Australia and around the world with the sexual abuse scandals and are very cynical about organised religion, what message would you give them to reconsider, to think about things more deeply?
Understand your faith. Don't let your faith be damaged by the failure of human agents who, as Tony Abbott said to me, who haven't allowed their faith to guide them. It hasn't been strong enough. If your faith is strong enough, it'll take you through those sorts of problems. I suppose there would have been a time when I would have scoffed at the church over it, but not now. I'm part of the church, and I feel better for acknowledging I'm part of it.
Bill Hayden, thank you very much for talking to Shalom TV.
Thank you. Some may think I'm an important person in Australia, but the fact is I'm just another fallible human being. There's only one star in our life, that's Jesus Christ.
Today, Bill Hayden is frail and in failing health, but he really is a star of the world in that he loves Jesus and he wants the whole world to know about it. And that's a far cry from the man we all knew in public life in Australia over many decades. We hope you enjoyed the program and listening to Bill Hayden in his own words.
Greetings from Brisbane, Australia, which is very far from where most of you are. In Jesus Christ, what we hear, what we discover, is the good news. Here we find in Jesus Christ, crucified and risen, good news for everybody. And that's why Shalom Media really does have a contribution to make. Shalom Media is seeking to communicate to families and to show to the world the truth and the beauty of what the family is within the plan of God. May the blessing of God really come to you through all that is offered in Shalom World by Shalom Media. The word Shalom itself comes from Hebrew, as you know, and it means peace. May the blessing of God's peace, the Shalom of God, for which we were created, may it come to you from the God who is peace, the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Amen.